Alright everybody, and welcome to a video. This is a game called Pentiment, as you can see right there. And I've decided this would be a good little video, or a good little game to do a video on. This is not going to be a full Let's Play, and there's two reasons for that. The first being, this is a very, not really that long, but a very text-heavy game. In fact, that's pretty much the entire content of the game, is just narrative and story and all that good stuff. And the second reason is I don't think I could do the game justice with my, lack of ability to be a voice actor, because I'm really not a voice actor by any stretch of the imagination. And even when I try to be serious, it just comes out silly, even though I don't really intend the voices to do. This is a little game made by Obsidian, who, of course, made a lot of classic computer role-playing games and things like that, and are really generally known for their great storytelling. Now, this game in particular really isn't much of a role-playing game at all. In fact, I would liken it a lot more to an adventure game or a visual novel rather than, an RPG where you're going and fighting goblins and stuff. This is a very historically focused, story-driven game, and I thought it was really good. I have actually beaten the game, so I already kind of know how everything plays out. And if you just want the quick version of things, I really think you guys should play it if this kind of thing interests you at all, and that's why I decided to make this video, to basically show off a first hour or two of the game and the story, and hopefully at least convince one person to give it a try, because I was taken by surprise by this little game, and I had a lot of fun with it. I didn't even realize this game had save slots. I should probably use the easy read font, because I'm terrible at reading out loud as it is, but we'll use the stylized fonts because it adds a lot of character to the game here. And I hope you don't want me to read that, because I don't speak Latin. We start off and erase everything from the book. Get a tabula rasa going over here, a blank slate as it were, and then it just takes the rock from me, because it's like, that's boring, you're not going to do all that. Pentiment. So I kind of just picked up this game on a whim over the Thanksgiving holiday, and I wasn't expecting to get involved in this game, but it really just captivated me, and I ended up beating it in like a week or two. I had a pretty busy week this week, but I beat it pretty quick. It's because it was, for me personally, as someone who, I know I'm probably most well known to you guys as the guy that plays old PlayStation games and makes immature humor, but I'm actually kind of into stuff like this that's really narratively focused, and I have an interest in history and stuff, and way too many hours in Crusader Kings logged under my name. So this game was right up my alley. Tassing, Bavaria, in the Holy Roman Empire, April 1518. An artist sleeps. An artist's mind. That's not at all what my mind looks like. And the abbot said to me, Andreas. And as you can see, very dialogue focused here. I need you to finish your commission by the end of April. Isn't that much earlier than you were expecting? Yes, he told me I had until the Ides of May. Asshole! And he's not going to pay you anymore, is he? He has no appreciation for the cost of your sweat. The yield of labor should not be measured in coin, but in the personal satisfaction and self-improvement. Personal satisfaction doesn't put much food on the table, now does it? Hee How did you reply to the abbot, Andreas? That's it. It'll be fun here. I told him it would be done when it was done, sometime before the Ides of May. Ah, that's what I like to hear. What's he going to do? Find someone else to finish your work before May? Ah, 'tis true. Making enemies with the abbot may not be wise, but he needs your work. And the doing of the work is its own virtue, regardless of what the abbot may think. Despite the abbot's ire, you must endure. Soon you will finish both the abbot's work as well as your masterpiece. And then you will return to Nuremberg, where marriage and your new life as a master awaits you. Ah, yes, marriage to someone he has never met. Hardly ideal. Well, the alternative is becoming a philosopher. Oh, Jesus! Then you should definitely get married. Is she pretty, at least? Oh, who knows? That's not why I'm doing it anyway. It's growing late. The wheel of time stops for no man, Andreas. I fear you must leave us. Ah, true, your majesty. Will you visit us again soon? Well, I can't always dream of this place, your majesty. Of course. If you're not here tomorrow night, I pray you will be someplace pleasant. I have no idea what that says. Grobian, please see Andreas safely home. Oh, I'm dumb. Of course, your majesty. Until next time, Andreas. Until next time, your majesty. This is more like my dreams. Pay no mind to the other fools, Andreas. I never do. Ow! At least they would stop stepping on my feet. And the game actually does stuff like that, like intentionally puts spelling errors and whatnot into the dialogue. And makes a pretty good use of fonts in a way that I've never seen any other game do. Watch where you're going. Ah! They're fools, Andreas! No point in trying to teach them anything. I know old John wants you to do the abbot's shit, but since I take you home, I get the last word. Don't let him run you ragged, boy. He's just trying to keep order in the abbey. I'm an outsider. Right, an outsider he brought in. If he wants you to work, he has to deal with you as you are. Son of a bitch. Gah! Would you please stop? Oh, damn. I give up. Take me home, Grobian. As you wish, Andreas. This is why I don't read out loud. Good morning, Ursula. Good morning, Siri. Time to get up. And Chapter 1, The Baron, 1518. And now we can just go around and finger stuff. We'll click on stuff that's highlighted for you here, and he comments on it, or it'll allow you to take an action, or whatever. The Pictrix, Key of Solomon, the Heptameron, Prior Fenric, Prior Ferric keeps giving me all these books to read. And you're learning why I'm not going to play this full game. And we are staying here at the Gertner's house. They are a peasant family. And let's see what they're on about.
Good morning, Andreas. Did you sleep well?
Quite well, actually. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear it. Anyway, I know you'll be off to the Abbey, so I packed you some food. Almonds, cheese, and some of the rye you like from the Albans. Otto wanted me to ask you to join him for dinner at the Abbey.
Otto stopped by. Another thing I should mention, this game does something really cool in that it highlights like conversation topics and whatnot. If it's another character, you can look at their portrait here in case you forget who people's names are. And I'm awful with names, so that's pretty nice. And you'll also have like encyclopedia articles too, which is pretty nice.
Yes, around dawn.
Here you are, Andreas. It's too kind of you, Clara. Many thanks.
Master Andreas, if it wouldn't be too much trouble, could would it be too much trouble if you paid next month's rent today? And if we raised it by 2 groschen? I hate to ask, but we're behind on our taxes to the Abbey. 2 months behind. Peter's losing his hair over it. Even more than usual, I mean.
I'll see. So I don't make exactly the same choices I made before. And sometimes you'll get these little thought bubbles, let you kind of work through things. And sometimes they'll even bring up things that you found earlier in the game to kind of keep everything fresh in your mind. I'm not sure how to respond to this. Rent wasn't due until the beginning of May. What is this shit? You must take the consequences of your actions into account. You're under no obligation to pay, but the Gertners will suffer for it. I want to help them, but I don't want to be taken advantage of. I suppose it's not out of the question. Yes, I think I can manage it.
I'm so grateful, truly, Andreas. I apologize again for asking. It's just awful to be stuck in such a position. Our taxes got harder to pay each year. Peter works hard, but it never seems like it's enough. St. Luke bless you for helping us out.
And here's one of the encyclopedia articles I mentioned. St. Luke, Christian evangelist and patron saint of artists and physicians, often represented by a winged bull. And if it's not obvious, the visuals of this game are heavily inspired by medieval scribe art and things of that nature. Speaking of St. Luke, how's your masterpiece coming along? It's been 2 months now, hasn't it? Slowly, I'm afraid. Most of my days are spent doing work for the Abbey. It's only during the divine office that Prior Ferenc... Oh, I might not know how to pronounce that name. I've read it so many times playing this. That Prior Ferenc will allow me to work on my masterpiece. A reasonable restriction, but slow going. The city council doesn't require it to become a master, but I'm slowly making it mostly to show clients, and for my own sake. And yes, when I do finish, I will go back to Nuremberg. Well, I will marry and open a workshop of my own.
From Nuremberg to a university and now traveling the world as an artist. What a life you have ahead of you, Master Andreas.
Yes, I suppose it does feel like I'm starting a new chapter in my life after a few missteps.
It must be rather frightening, starting all over again.
I owe it to my family to make something of my life. They helped me even after I dropped out of university. I can't let them down.
I'm sure you make your family proud, Andreas. Anyway, I don't know anything about art, but I've seen you sketching such beautiful things in your little book.
Your masterpiece must be wonderful. Well, it is. It's my finest work.
Good. Makes me glad to see some confidence in the men around here sometimes. Now I have to get back to my own work. Have a good day at the Abbey, Andreas, and we'll see you after Vespers for supper.
Not tonight, but thank you. Klaus Drucker invited me over for supper.
Of course. Please say hello to the Druckers for us. Of course. Until later, Clara. And when I played this game initially, I went and talked to pretty much everybody that I could to get as much information as I could. I'll spare you guys some of that. God bless you. Andreas. Oh, yes, Andreas. This weather's been god-awful. This town's gone to shite since my days. Well, I don't think the townsfolk can do much about the weather. Yeah, of course they wouldn't know how to do anything now. No one follows the old ways anymore. The old abbot didn't bother us much about our customs. He didn't mind if we left a little offering to Perchanta to keep the skies clear and the weather fair. Matthias knew that Christ was in our hearts, even if the White Lady's name was on our lips. I thought Saint Moritz protected Tassing. Ah, yes, and Saint Cinzia too. But who do you think protected them before they came along? The saints weren't the first to watch over Tassing. My father knew that. Old Rannoch Kimper knew that. The bastard abbot may not like it, but some of us keep the traditions alive. Like the old widow, Ottilia. The names really mess me up. But it's just me being a dumb American, I guess. Ah, yes, she always hangs the door frame with lavender to keep the spirits out. Well, even if it doesn't help with the spirits, it does smell nice. I suppose. I just know it helps with the ghosts and witches and whatnot. I should go. Alright, God bless you. And from here we can explore the town. We do have a job to do at the church, since that's kind of our job at the moment. Morning, Andreas. Morning, Big Yorg. How's it going? You working today? Just taking a rest for a bit. Dad's still out in the field. He hit a big rock with the plow and it took me Lord knows how long to pull it out. You off to the Abbey? Every day but Sunday. Right. Thank God for Sundays. Smells like a storm's a-coming, no? It just smells like fresh alpine air to me. You've been traveling too much. Where was it you spent your wandering before you came to Tassing? And here's where you can kind of make your character. As I said before, this is not really a role-playing game in the sense of fighting goblins and orcs and stuff. But it is a role-playing game in the sense of playing a role. These are not about picking the best bonus that you're going to get in the game. It's really about kind of creating the character. These will change what options are available to you later on in the game, but it's not really about a min-maxing kind of thing. So just pick whatever appeals to you. Originally, I think I picked Flanders originally. We will go with Italy, where you know Italian, a little Greek, and can reference cultural touchstones from Florence, Venice, and Milan. And what languages you know will make a difference later on too. Italy, Florence for a little while, but Venice and Milan as well. Italy! No wonder your senses are dull. You must have been down there too long. Spend enough time in the mountains and you'll be able to smell a storm a-coming. How long will that take? 10, 15 years. I don't think I have that long, Big York. What'd you spend all that time in Italy doing, anyway? Other than art, I mean. Well, you can pick the obvious choice, which is you were doing the ladies. Or you were a hedonist, and I absolutely picked that the first time. Let's see, what's different? Craftsman, Andreas lives to work and dedicates all his time to his art. Bookworm spends all of his non-working time reading. Rapscallion, he can be a dick. That will be the boring craftsman. He's an artist. A Renaissance man, as it were. Other than art,
Nothing. That's what I was there for. Art's the whole point, Big Jorg. The craft. I don't have time for anything else. Oh, sorry I asked. Anyway, I have to get going. Jorg! Let's go! Dad's already acting like I'm taking too long, even though I did all the work to get that rock out. See you later, Andreas. Until later. Alright. And we have Indris, the smith, over here. We have some very interesting looking horses. And we have some more NPCs to stop us.
Martin, please! Could you give me a hand here?
What do you want? I'm keeping an eye on him.
That looks a lot like standing there and doing nothing. Martin, for Christ's sake, help your cousin. Ah, morning, Andreas. Excuse us. One of the fence rails failed and the sheep started hopping it.
Is there, anything I can do to help?
Have you ever handled sheep before?
No.
Then no, but thank you. Christian of you to offer. Oh look, there's something going on up at the Steinauer's place.
He's pointing his finger angrily at a man on a horse. Who's that on the horse? He looks rich.
I don't know, Martin, but Lucky is giving him an earful. Lord, I haven't seen Lucky that worked up since Peter and Clara's wedding. Johann pulled his pants down. Knocked 2 of my man's teeth out. We don't want to feel the strength behind a stonemason's anger.
Do you think he's a noble? He looks really rich.
God damn it, Martin. Stay out of trouble for once.
What, Aunt Hetty?
Behave yourself. We don't have enough to deal with right now. Or don't we have enough to deal with right now? I'm drunk. Andreas, if you wouldn't mind moving your skinny little body up the road, we need to get these sheep under control.
Of course. See you later. Don't work too hard, Martin. Alright, well, we'll leave him to his angry fingering. And continue on through yonder town. Now this is one of the things I was talking about how the game makes interesting use of fonts. See, Klaus here is actually the town printer, so his text comes in the form of, like, printed characters, like a printing press. It's pretty cool. Morning, Andreas. How's it going? Yes, no one in Bavaria has a German accent. I'm sorry. Morning, Klaus. Another day at the Abbey. Another few hours to work on my masterpiece. Good to hear. You're still coming by for supper tonight. Marie and Bert would love to see you. You really need to see these new woodcuts I have for an Italian edition of Till Spiel. This is the titular character of a popular 15th century book. Till is a prankster, continually exposing others to the vices and hypocrisy of others. He is also quite skilled at tricking people into smelling, touching, or eating his excrement. Okay then, and when I do it, it's a crime. I didn't realize Father Thomas lets you print books in Italian. Come on, Andreas, he's not that strict. I know he's just trying to protect people from, you know, heresy, like the bolter guns and stuff. Sure, why not? Some of the things people are publishing these days would make a bishop's head spin. Or an abbot's. Doesn't take much with that one. I know it. Well, at least I don't have to deal with them much. So, supper tonight after Vespers? Vespers refers to one of the hours of the day. It's evening, basically. Of course. Thank you. Right. I'll tell Marie and Bert you're coming. See you then. See you later. See, I didn't even do a Bert voice when he said Bert. That's how restrained I'm being today. Oh, Father Thomas. I used to know someone named Thomas. That's not relevant.
God bless, Master Malar. I hope your week is going well.
Thank you, Father, but I'm running late to the Abbey. I don't feel like hearing about Jesus right now.
It's no problem if you don't have time for me today. But the question is, will you have time for the Lord on Sunday? You understand how important it is for your salvation that you receive Holy Communion, don't you? Andreas, I really like talking about Jesus. Do you think I like saying these silly things to people to get them to come to church? Oh my, what a blessed day to receive such an illustrious visitor. Master Malar, this is Lorenz, Baron of Kronthvogel, a great lord from the countryside near Worms.
Good to see you, Father Thomas. It is nice to be remembered fondly. I only wish all of your neighbors were as welcoming.
Well, yes. What brings you back to our little town?
My wife and I are returning from a trip to Venice. Spent a few days in Innsbruck, and it was terribly dull. I mean, it has a certain charm common to these alpine cities, but the place was crawling with nobles of the Emperor's Diet. An imperial diet is an assembly of 3 colleges of the imperial estates of the Holy Roman Empire, the prince-electors, the princes and dukes, and representatives of the imperial cities. They meet to deliberate on matters of importance to the empire. So now you know that's going to be on the test.
The Emperor? He was there? Did you see him?
Oh, briefly. But he was sitting for a portrait at the time. Quite lovely. I didn't want to bother him, or the painter. How was Venice, my lord? I lived there only a few years ago. Oh, fascinating. Well, the city's Jews now live in their own quarter in the north. The city's artists are still producing wonderful work. Titian in particular is a god. You can leave a dislike, I don't care. It's not my fault. No offense, Father.
Of course.
Anyway, my wife wanted to stay for a bit longer in Innsbruck, and I decided to ride ahead to make a visit to Curacao. I heard Father Matthias died shortly after my last visit, of course.
A great loss for the Abbey, and for us all.
Indeed. By good fortune, I recently came across a copy of the Historia Tassing he was reading during my last visit. I'm sorry. The pronunciations aren't going to get any better, folks. Father Matthias was hoping to find a second copy to corroborate the contents of the first. It contains some fascinating details about the history of this place. I'm afraid they might cause a bit of a scandal.
Ah, yes.
But I must be off. There'll be time enough to discuss Tassing's past later. I commissioned a manuscript from the Abbey, though, through Father Gurnot, and I have come to check on its progress.
Oh, my lord. If you have come to see your manuscript, you should speak with young Master Malar here.
I'm not quite a true master yet. I still have to marry and be approved by our city council.
Andreas is a journeyman artist from Nuremberg. For the next few months, he's also helping with the Abbey scriptorium.
A Nuremberg artist working in an Abbey scriptorium in 1518? Oh, we should talk, Andreas. I must know the story. Surely my lord would find little entertainment or companionship in me. I have no self-confidence. I have yet to judge the quality of your entertainment. No, it sounds like we're off to a bad start. Thank you for the introduction, Father Thomas. Come to supper at the Abbey tonight. I'm inviting you to the Abbot's table.
Did the abbot invite me? Oh, don't worry about it, Father. Just show up after Vespers. What is he going to do? Refuse us? Excellent. We'll see you then. McLaus, I'm dismounting. Run ahead of us and take the horses to the Abbey's guest house. I'd like to take my time with Master Malar. I'll see you there. At once, my lord. Well, now we get to have awkward conversation. So then, a journeyman from Nuremberg. Forgive me for saying so, but you seem a little old to not yet be a master. Are you unmarried? No, I'm not married, but in truth, I came to my vocation later than my father and brothers. I was in university for a number of years at Erfurt. Erfurt, wonderful! The same university as Martin Luther. You've read his works. Tremendous mind. He says things about the church that should have been said years ago. It might get him into trouble, but he's a brave and brilliant man. Wait, you may have even met him. Did you? Oh, you must tell me. No, he was a few years ahead of me, I'm afraid. Still, his ideas do seem fascinating. I agree wholeheartedly. I simply must meet him if I get the chance. I wonder if the good brothers of the Abbey have heard of him. Oh, it's probably not a good idea to bring that up. Perhaps they even have read his list of 95 theses against the church. Father Valius was not above having a lively debate. I hope Father Ganot does not disappoint in that regard. But enough about Luther for now. Tell me about your university studies. Forgive me, Baron, but did you attend university? You seem very well educated. No, my family is merely wealthy enough to provide me with all the books and tutors a child could dream of. I love all knowledge, from Aristotle and Cicero to Ficino to Erasmus, and everyone in between and yet to come. Oh, I may have misjudged the Baron. It seems he's as well read as any university student. In truth, I'm simply happy to speak with another well-educated man. And now then, where did you earn your doctorate? And this highlights another one of the differences in one of the things about the text in the game. See, Andreas's opinion of him has changed, so he's now writing with a different, more regal-looking font, if you will, to sort of represent that he now sees Lorenz as an educated man. Anyway. Oh no, I didn't. Only a master's degree. I started working towards a doctorate, but I didn't finish. Oh, that's a shame. What was your area of study? Last time I went Imperial Law, which was pretty cute. Medicine sounds like it could be fun. Theology could also be interesting, I suppose. What did I pick before? He was a craftsman. So we could do... fuck it, let's do theology. I'll pretend I know something about Jesus. Theology, as odd as they may seem. Not odd at all. It's a good field of study if you want a position in the church. My late uncle was an abbot of Fulda. I spent many hours reading the manuscripts in their library, with his permission, of course. He was a pious enough man, I suppose, but he wielded great power from that abbey.
You! If I had any faith, I would have prayed you'd never show your face here again. Curse you, Lorenz Rudvogel. Perchotter's dogs tear you to pieces would be too kind of a fight.
These rustic communities display a shocking lack of hospitality, don't you think? What was that about? Oh, who knows? By the time I finished guessing, the old crone will probably be dead. That was a joke. Well, what of your earlier time in university? Every student must study the trivium and the quadrivium, yes? Ah, yes, those. Everyone knows about those. Did you have a favorite subject? And I could not resist
fucking picking occultist, because I'm an edgelord, okay? I had to pick that. And orator, because you do get to pick another one. Orator is basically exactly what it sounds like. You're charisma man. You get to be, you're good at convincing people of things. You're a good public speaker. So, of course, I'm not going to pick either of those this time. We're going to go with, Latin is actually used quite a bit in this game, from what I remember. So we're going to learn how to speak Latin. I focused on Latin. It's useful in so many ways, but especially for understanding manuscripts. And like I said, this isn't really about min-maxing. You just, when you play, pick what sounds cool to you. Everything is used throughout the game. Wonderful. A beautiful language used in the greatest empire of the ancient world. Tell me, what is your favorite sentintia? Everyone enjoys the smell of their own farts. That's actually my pet. Ah, but using Erasmus is cheating. Yeah, well, don't bring Fenris into this. A little, but Erasmus was paraphrasing Aristotle. There, if you don't mind dipping your Latin cup into a drink well, if you know what I mean. And your other studies. Was there anything else you excelled at? Jacking off. Logic sounds fun. Logician. And if I were doing another boring... What's heavens and earth? Andreas knows a great deal about the constellations, heavenly bodies, and their movement. He is also familiar with various plants and animals from study and personal experience. We're just gonna... we're making this guy the world's most boring guy. He's an artist. He studied art. He studied Jesus. He studied Latin. And he studied logic. He's the world's most boring guy. Logic, geometry, arithmetic... Quite interesting for an artist. Actually, that sounds like it makes sense for an artist to me, but what do I know? I'm an idiot. Was Aristotle's orangutan the foundation of your study? Yes, the orangutan for logic and Euclid's elements for geometry. But the past few centuries have yielded wonderful new texts on logic. Peter Abelard provided the foundation of scholastic philosophy and established the primacy of Aristotle's work. The Englishman Will of Welcome gave us the Summa Logica, arguing nominalism against Platonic realism. I think that's where the term Occam's razor comes from as well. And of course, Thomas Aquinas gave us the tools to employ both faith and reason in the pursuit of truth. All monks and friars, of course. A great deal of work to force Aristotle to fit within the Church's view of truth. Is that so wrong? I question that these great men should have to wrestle logic into what the Church established by fiat and force. Ah, there's the Abbey. I have good memories of this place, and of Father Matthias. I was, sad to hear of his passing. How did you come to know him? How did you come to know of Curacao at all? My family had been patrons of Curacao for, I don't know how many generations. Some years ago, I heard that Curacao still had a wonderful library and artisans. Professional artists have taken over most manuscript productions, so I was shocked to hear there's an active scriptorium here. There's not much left of it these days. 2 old men, a young scribe, and me. Ah, well. Perhaps it is nostalgia that brings me back here. I commissioned a manuscript through Father Gernot a year ago, and I thought I would stop by and check on the progress. Wait, are you the artist working on it? It's a prayer book with 20 illustrations. I know the work, but no, I knew the artist well, the venerable Brother Piero. How venerable? He still has his wits and his skills, if that's what concerns you. Brother Piero has an incredible talent with color. And then I very much look forward to seeing it. Andreas does not reply. Nicholas, tend to the horses and the baggage. I'm heading up to the Abbey. Yes, my lord. Well, let's not keep the abbot waiting any longer.
Nuns. Quite unusual for a Benedictine house to have a monk and nuns, even if they are separated. The church closed most of them centuries ago. But then, Curacao is a place out of time in more ways than one. Do you know Mother Cecilia? She seemed to recognize you. We're acquainted, yes. Let's leave it at that. Ah, you must be Father Gannot. I am Lawrence, Baron of... Yes, the Baron of Rothvogel. So wonderful to have you here again. We actually did meet on your last visit. If you say so. I'm not good with remembering faces. Please forgive me, my lord, but I wasn't expecting you for another few days. Ah, yes, I know, but I wrote ahead. I just couldn't wait to see my manuscript. I'm sure it's no trouble. Yes, no, it's no trouble. Do you want to see it now? Oh, in a moment. I could do with a bit of refreshment, though. May I grab something from the kitchen? Yes, yes, certainly, my lord. I will meet you there. Can I help you? Andreas! I don't know what you are doing with the Baron, but I need you in the scriptorium. Now. Is this a bad time to ask for an advance on my payment for the Book of Hours? I should ask again when he is in a better mood. Maybe I could just convince Brother Malar to pay me early. Alright, so let me show off a few other things here. I clicked the wrong tab because I'm an idiot. Over here we have the map, which shows us a map of the actual abbey here. We are here, and we need to go to the scriptorium, which is through the cloister. It's a little bit hard to kind of, figure out how all this fits together with the 2D backgrounds and whatnot, but you get used to it after a while. Basically, if we just keep going to the right, we'll be pathed through the cloister, into the cemetery, and up into the scriptorium. Go through the cemetery, as one does when they're visiting a church. This is a map of Outer Tassing. Here's the Gertner farm, which is where we started, and we've walked all the way through here towards the abbey. And this is a closer zoomed-in map of the center of Tassing. All very fancy. And here's where you can see your character sheet. You're from Italy, craftsman, studied theology, and you're a Latinist and a logician. Lots of L's going on in here. And that's really... Oh, there's also a glossary of people. You don't need me to show you that. You guys are smart. You can figure it out. So, as I said, when I was playing this on my own, I really went around and explored everywhere and talked to everyone, and you should absolutely do that. Especially, both to drink in the flavor of the world and to kind of, well, it's going to help you out later on to kind of learn about who these people are and what they want, But we're just doing a little preview video here, so we're going to be very objective focused this time around. Which means I'm just going to go to my quest marker, which is Eol Scriptorium. Brother Guy, rather. My favorite. Good day, Andreas. He is actually not Father Gannot, even though they kind of look similar. I've confused them multiple times. How's your morning going, Brother Guy? It's fine. More contracts for the abbot. And it's not going to help that I'm giving them the same voice. Which would you rather be making? Contracts or manuscripts? I honestly don't care, Andreas. As long as the abbot is impressed, you could have me write the first chapter of Genesis until Judgment Day. Does the abbot's opinion mean that much to you? The abbot and the priors both. You're lucky. When you're done with this, you're going home. I never get to see Burgundy again. I need to make the best of the next 40 years. Well, then I'll leave you to it. And this is Adoc.
Let's go ahead and have a little chat with him right quick. God bless you, Andreas. How are you feeling today, Brother Adoc?
Alive. Well.
I completely made that up.
I am ill.
That's easy. I am well.
Well done, my son. It is early. I will give you a harder one later.
I look forward to all your anagrams, Brother Adoc. Literal nut. Ah, yes. Until then. Speaking of literal nut, let's go talk to Brother Piero here.
Oh, Andreas. God bless you. So good to see you.
Good morning, Brother Piero. Good to see you as well. I don't like this weather. My bones ache. It means the storm's coming. Brother York Gertner says that if you live here 10 or 15 years, you can smell the storms a-coming. Brother Adoc has been here long enough that he can always smell him coming.
Do not forget, Brother Guy, the fate of the youths who jeered the aged prophet Elijah outside of Bethel.
Mauled by bears, weren't they?
She-bears.
Are you comparing yourself to a prophet, Brother Adoc?
I am comparing you to an imprudent youth whom the Lord and his ineffable wisdom may choose to strike down.
So, I don't like Brother Guy. So, in my original playthrough, I took Adoc's side, but, we'll do the opposite here, just because it's opposite day in the land of Tassing.
I'm old, Andreas. Every slight against me stings with the fire of 1,000 wasps. But I will pray to God for the strength to endure his wickedness.
Well, everyone seems quite lively. I suppose that means Prior Fenric is not overseeing us today. He was here, but then he heard Lorenz Rothvogel had arrived and hurried out to take a little mouse. I hurried out like a little mouse. He did not take a mouse. We don't discuss that sort of thing here. Ferenc is so desperate to impress the abbot and nobles like Rothvogel. It's pathetic.
You feign kindness to Father Abbot and our prior only to speak about him like this behind their backs. It's shameful. Oh no. Baron Rothvogel. His manuscript. Oh, I just realized he'll want to see his manuscript. How silly of me. Of course that's why he's visiting.
Perhaps if you were younger and faster, you wouldn't need worry so much about the patron's visit. A true craftsman cares more about quality than simply being fast. Which is why I'm not a true craftsman. With skill comes speed. Sadly, it may elude you forever. If all I had to do was write letters, I suppose I'd be fast too. Anyway, what's the problem? The Baron is just one client, he has to wait like everyone else. Right?
Andreas, Baron Rothvogel is not like anyone else. He has powerful friends, including the Prince Bishop of Fresjing. Kurasan is already out of favor. Father Abbot does not want to have to deal with more attention.
Well, if Prior Fenric isn't here, I'm going to work on my manuscript until he arrives. His name is Fenric now, guys. I'm sorry. It's not Ferenc. Oh, that's right. I need to reference Indermir, a prominent family of the Swiss Confederacy in Austria. I need to reference the Indermir manuscript, which we get from the library over here.
What do you want, Andreas?
A book. The Indermir manuscript. The Book of Hours. No, it's fine. I don't want to learn things. Your hair looks so messy today. Did you get enough sleep? Can I just get the book?
Ugh.
That's all the way upstairs. Can't you get by without it? No? Why are you complaining? Isn't this your job? Isn't writing books your job? Sister Illuminata! Andreas needs a book, and he's being inappropriate with me. Andreas. Sister Illuminata, I'd like to borrow the book I can't pronounce. The Book of Hours. Yes, I overheard. Here, please return it promptly. Can I borrow a pencil? Andreas, may I see how your masterpiece is coming? Of course. Your opinion is always welcome. Ah, yes, the composition is lovely. There is a joyful spirit in your arrangement of the figures. The contrast of colors is also quite nice, rich and beautiful on their own, but not overpowering the scene. This is like me when I try to sound like I know what I'm talking about. Is that all? It's an excellent interpretation of someone else's work. That's what the client wants. What do you want? Where are you in this work? I didn't know there was room for me in it. It is inescapable. We all put ourselves into our work whether we realize it or not. What does this painting represent? Tell me about the blue curtains. It's November? I wish. In November, we show peasants leading the pigs into the forest to forage on acorns before the slaughter. Andreas, the peasants here are no longer allowed to forage acorns in the forest. Many great lords and abbots across the empire have forbidden it. Even Father Gurneau. What difference does it make? This is the way November is painted. But it is not the way November is. Art is illusion, storytelling, but in the most sublime form. These images illuminate a path to truth. The technique is all that matters to me, perfecting the craft. Can't that be enough? Only you can answer that, Andreas. There was a time I marveled at my own technique. But there's a reason we monks do not usually identify ourselves in our work. Woman's pride, vanity. With time, I learned to take simple satisfaction in hoping to spread truth to others. But you need not listen to my opinions, they are just the thoughts of an old monk. There is no place in the monastic scriptoria anymore. In truth, this room is a place out of time. Why is that? Why has Curacao kept this up for so long? Some people, some places have a difficult time letting go of the past. I'm not among them. The creation of books of art is no longer the providence of monasteries. So be it. More people will be able to write, or will be able to read, and in doing so, be brought to the truth. I think there will always be a place for artists like you and Brother Adok. Say no. Fuck you, Brother Guy. It's kind of you to say so, Andreas, but you need not be concerned for me. I have lived a long life, and am happy to have served the Lord. When he calls for me, I am ready. Where's the time gone? It is already terse. Too much talk. I must ask forgiveness for not honoring the rule. Until later, Andreas. Until later.
I forgot how long the intro to this game actually is. Oh, don't you hate when you do that? That's expensive, don't you know? I know what that is. That's the symbol for the occultist path. What's going on in here? Andreas, what was that noise? Oh, I'm sorry, Sister Illuminati. I knocked a bowl of paint to the floor. And then Prior Ferrant came in, wrote in one of his books, slammed it closed, and left. It was quite eventful. He was in such a hurry, I don't think he even noticed me. He was slamming the book shut? Prior Ferrant should know better than that. Some of these manuscripts are quite delicate. He seemed to be in a great hurry. I think he's on edge since Baron Rothvogel arrived early. Which is why books should not be taken out of the library unless it is necessary for divine reading or work in the scriptorium. Are you still mad at me for borrowing the Chronica Clara? No, anger is not an appropriate response for a nun, but the answer is yes. But the fact remains that you tricked me into giving you that book for no valid reason. Not valid? Is it not valid to see the works of one of the great Irish scribes? The one who wrote masterworks that even now the great libraries of Cologne, Fulda, and Mainz? No, it's not. Not unless it pertains to your work or the abbot permits it. Now, if you'll excuse me... Wait. What was all this fuss about Lorenz Rothvogel? Why is Ferrick so nervous? Lorenz? I didn't know you were familiar enough with the man to use his Christian name. Anyway, I haven't dealt with him personally, but the prior and Father Abbot have. I only know that he purchased a number of our most valuable manuscripts over the years, and he paid enough to help the Abbey when we needed it. Like what? What did he buy? I can't remember. You know I have my own responsibilities to attend to. Now, how about this, Andreas? If you help me recover some missing books, I'll tell you what I know about the Baron. Well, I was hoping to work on my masterpiece, but I suppose I can help. I understand, but there's rarely a time when I'm in the scriptorium and the brothers are not present. Thank you. It's for the good of the Abbey. Where should I begin? Over there, where you and your cohort have carelessly strewn books around the scriptorium. I will tell you what books I'm looking for, you find them and return them to me. The first book are 2 volumes of the Aeneid. Reddish covers, 14 inches by 10 inches, 3 inches thick. Just like... No, this is a serious Let's Play, we're not doing that. Oh, I know the ones. They're among Piero's favorites. He keeps them by my desk. They are not his to keep. There's a fair amount of wear on these. I hope you don't mind. Those volumes were old even when Piero started to make the copies. How long ago was that? 3 years. The Aeneid is not one of my favorite stories, but I understand why it appeals to Piero. I'm in the book now. Aeneas chose his duty to the gods over his lover Dido. Italian non sponte secure. I did not go to Italy willingly. I did not take you for a scholar of the Roman poetry, Andreas. The words sit easily in my memory. I'm not sure why. Probably out of love rather than duty. You think Aeneas' sense of duty appeals to Piero? We all have our vocations. Brother Piero takes his more seriously than most of the others at the Abbey.
You clearly taken your vocation quite seriously.
Andreas, I didn't have a choice in my vocation. Few women do.
Well, surely it's not that dire.
How would you know, Andreas? How could you?
I'm on this page now.
Men are not sorted with the same sieve of life as women are. There are fewer places where we fit. Even in stories where maidens to be rescued and wed, or cruel seducers of men, wizened crones. Like Dido, an ordinary woman, are merely tools in the tales of men. We can never be the protagonists of our own stories. No woman is exempt from that. Far from the empress to a nun, that is our lot.
I suppose I understand now why you are not fond of the Aeneid. It's fine poetry. For men. Now the books, if you please. Alright. Oh, we have to go take the book back to her. I knew that. Thank you. Next, Wretched Gurion. This is a printed copy, green cover, diamond pattern. I do not have the size of the ledger, but hopefully the description is enough. I know the one you're talking about. Brother Adoc was reading it. We're gonna hear about some more books, kids. The beauty of this book truly belies its ridiculous content. I'm surprised the Abbey owns a copy.
We don't. It belongs to a Media Risco of Linguano. It's a Venetian edition that's quite valuable. He loaned it to us 5 years ago. It was subsequently lost, and the abbot has received 3 letters about it.
I've certainly seen the brothers enjoying it.
A book is not appropriate reading for Benedictine monks. A baby is sold to pirates, raised as a servant, and lives a life of adventure, wooing princesses and fighting in tournaments.
You forgot the best part. In the end, Durin learns he has royal blood, the son of a duke. He reigns as king and dies as a pious hermit. It's not the love.
Benedictines should be dreaming of reconciliation with our Lord, not lusty adventures.
Redemption will still be waiting for them when they put the book down. All you gotta do is say you're sorry.
Yes, always. But they still must choose redemption. Should we go on sinning so grace will increase? Of course not.
Look, if you died... Look, if you don't sin, Jesus died in vain, okay? He died for your sins.
Fantasy leads to temptation. Temptation has led to the downfall of many men and women.
Sometimes, yes, but books like this, it's all the same type of fantasy, isn't it? To die better than we are born. And what's the problem with that? Why shouldn't a peasant dream of being a king?
There is neither Jew nor Greek nor slave nor free, neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus.
Paul's words can be hard to recall when you're suffering because of your situation in life.
That is exactly when his words are most needed.
But the book, Andreas, we must return it. Or would you like the abbot to receive a 4th letter? I hate to see the brothers disappointed, but I understand.
It's not my goal to deprive the brothers of their joy, but to return the Almeida Prosco's property. The book, please.
And we have one more to fetch after this.
There's only one book left, and then you'll be free from bondage.
This isn't the fun kind of bondage.
A dark red cover, 8 inches high, 5 inches across, 2 inches thick. You can measure with...
I remembered that. I believe Brother Guy was reading it. Now that I think about it, Guy has always been guarded about this book. Like he was hiding it.
Very good, please bring it here. What is this, anyway? Maybe I should have learned French at some point. Bastard script. Elegant descenders. What is this? Why are you asking so many questions? Just give it to me. I haven't asked so many questions. I've asked one question twice and you haven't answered me. I have good reason not to answer you. Yes? 3 French bishops condemned this book. All copies were to be burned. Its author shared the same fate. What? Why? I don't know, Andreas. It's not my place to question the judgment of one bishop, much less 3. And before you ask, no, I haven't read it. But I know it contains a dialogue between love and reason. So the book is dangerous. Many of the bishops condemn it. Whee! I've heard of a stairway to heaven, but not a ladder to heaven. 200 years ago. What? Then why is it still here? Because Father Matthias loved books. All books. He didn't want to see it destroyed. I can sympathize with him. That's fine, but Brother Matthias is gone. It's not my place to question the former abbot's decision, but when Father Gurneau learned it was in our possession, he wanted it destroyed. How did Father Gurneau even know the book was here? Mother Cecilia made a note of it in the inventory when she was the librarian. Must the book be destroyed? No one even knows it's here. I do. And so do Mother Cecilia and Father Gurneau. Well, I refuse to give it to you if all you're going to do is destroy it. What? Why not? What are you going to do with it? Read it and become a French heretic. That's not funny, I'm serious. Give me that book or our deal is forfeit. I won't tell you anything about Baron Rothvogel. Consider the sound theological arguments for allowing this book to exist. More sound than a condemnation from 3 bishops of Paris? Oh, I'm surprised I actually managed to do it. Okay, so this is really cool. When you actually do try to persuade somebody, it actually shows you a breakdown of everything that you have that's giving you a bonus to accomplishing that. I succeeded on this last time as well. I did not expect to do it this time, but apparently a theology background also gives you a nice little bonus with her. Would you consider Albertus Magnus or Thomas Aquinas greater or lesser minds than bishops of Paris? What is your argument, Dr. Malar? Both Albertus Magnus and Aquinas recognize the role of the intellect in allowing humans to exercise free will. Aquinas believed that it is ignorance, not knowledge, that leads to the sins of the intellect. Even knowledge of heresy that corrupts the teachings of the Holy Church? Why not? What's the worst that could happen other than losing God's grace? Ah, right. No, thank you. Did you leave university voluntarily, or were you expelled? I propose a compromise. I will take the book from the Abbey, far away. I'll be gone by the time Father Gurneau asks about it, and if you like, you can say I stole it. I doubt he'll make a fuss about me stealing a book he wanted destroyed. I don't like this, Andreas. Feels wrong in my heart. Ooh, I did fail that time. It feels right. Enough for my heart. Both of us? I don't think so. It doesn't even make sense. I appeal to your duty as the librarian of this abbey not to destroy this book. My duty is to God and to the vows I made, to the rule. What about the librarian's rule to protect books? No, you just made that up. Oh, fine, take it. I understand your frustration, but this is for the best, Andreas. Thank you. Now then, Baron Rothvogel, quickly. Now we need to finish up here soon. What would be good to ask? He mentioned finding a copy of the Historia Tassing. He said there were some scandalous details in it. He also mentioned that Father Matthias had a copy and was looking for another to verify its contents. Do you know anything about the book? I've heard of it, but I never read it, and know little about its contents. The subject is broad, but I believe the book deals specifically with the Roman occupation of this land. What about that could have upset Father Matthias so much? I don't claim any deep insights into the former abbot's mind. I understood him to be a virtuous and charitable man, sometimes to a fault. It's not always best when an abbot considers himself a friend to his brothers instead of their shepherd. Did something in the book have led Father Matthias to have a crisis of virtue? Do you prefer Father Gano to Father Matthias? As well ask about the new leadership here. My vocation requires me to obey. My preferences are irrelevant. But every child would choose that their parents err toward love. To err towards love is to stumble at the feet of God. Spare the rod and spoil the child. Well, I must be off to Mass. Thank you again for your help, Andreas. Wait, how will you get to church if you can't enter the scriptorium? I thought this was the only door into the library. We are standing in the oldest part of the library, and like any old place, it has its share of secrets. Good day, Andreas. God be with you. Eat! Well, that's the bell for Sext. The brothers will be sitting down for dinner soon. I should see if Otto is around, and if he still wants to eat with me. I think he's working by the guest house below the abbey, and I've been recording for quite a while, so I'm going to take a break, and I think I'm going to just make one big-ass video here, so I'll record the next part of this when I have time. For you guys, it will be instant. You know, like mashed potatoes. That made more sense before I said it. Anyways, I'll see you guys in just a second. Alright, everybody. I don't know why I said that like I'm introducing a new video. I'm not. I was thinking about what I was gonna say in my rundown, and I just remembered that this is gonna be a continuation of the first video, so I don't need to do that. We need to go and find Otto and have lunch, which is one of my favorite meals. And by that I mean it's one of the 2 meals I normally eat in a day. Because I don't do breakfast because I'm not awake in the morning. Anywho, Otto, I think he was... Oh, it's Martin. What you doing there? You peering in that window? Very naughty. You watching somebody baiting over there? Wait, this was my serious video. We have to put my serious face back on. It's been a week since I did my last little recording session, which probably means that I'm not going to remember anyone's voices, but I'll do my best. Go away, Andreas! Can't you see I'm busy? Not really. What are you doing? Mind your own business. Only curious, and curiosity is a virtue. You're nothing but a snoop and a wind dog. Now piss off! I don't want to talk to you anymore. Okay. Nice to meet you too. Alright, and I wandered around town for a long time looking for where Otto was, and apparently they're over here. He's not at his house. I wandered around for an embarrassingly long amount of time. You missed George talking about chickens. Unless I left it in and just made it all even more awkward by pretending I was going to cut it out and then not doing so. But anyway, I found Otto. He's here. Pro tip, check your map because it tells you stuff. Otto, my man, how you doing? Good day, Master Malar. Ah, Andreas, good to see you.
I trust Clara gave you my message.
Afternoon, Andreas. Otto. Clara did give me your message. Sorry I missed you this morning. I was asleep when you came by.
Ah, the abbot really needs to let you get away with everything. The abbot really lets you get away with anything, doesn't he?
Oh, leave him be, Otto. I'm hungry. Let's pray.
Bless us, O Lord, and these your gifts which we are about to receive from your bounty. Through Christ our Lord. Amen.
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 How did the morning treat you?
Not too bad, thanks. Oh, I hurt my damn hand splitting timber to replace a bad beam in the abbot's house. I accidentally ate my food. It's not that bad of an injury. It just galls me that the abbot bleeds us dry and we're expected to work when it suits him. So you can, when you have meals with people, you can just kind of like pick what food you want to eat. Just a little bit of flavor, no pun intended. Let's eat our rye bread, shall we?
Oh, it's not that bad. I get a lot of good work from the Abbey.
Casting pilgrims' badges isn't really smithing, but I don't mind. Anyway, I saw you walking with that Baron Rothvogel in the meadow on your way up here. What's that all about? He wanted to check on a commission. I understand he was friendly with Father Matthias. He was. Oh, though Father Matthias had some misgivings about the Baron.
What kind of misgivings?
That he fools around with young women. He's married, of course.
Otto, that's gossip, and it isn't Christian to spread rumors like that.
It's not gossip that he beat up that farmer a few years back. Old Ranning. May he rest in peace.
Ranning is the late husband of Ottilia, and she is the woman that came out of the woods and yelled at the Baron when he was up on his way to the church with us earlier.
Well, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But if he did that, yes, it speaks poorly of his character.
Didn't mention anything about that. He beat someone. That doesn't sound like the sort of thing he would do. We'll go.
We had a long conversation on our way up here, but he didn't mention anything about that.
What did you talk about then?
I mean, no offense, but what does a nobleman have in common with an artist?
He talked about my work. He's fascinated by both arts and books.
Oh, of course. That's what he's interested in when he's at the Abbey. If he's in Tassing, he'll be chasing girls or harassing peasants. And because he's friendly with the abbot, no bad would ever come to him. It's galling.
This bitterness and envy are not for our Christian souls, Otto. Old Andreas here's a big old party pooper.
It's not envy, Andreas. No one should get away with what he does. What this Abbey does. No offense to you, Andreas. I don't have any problem with the books the Abbey makes. I mean, I never did learn to read, but people are paying the Abbey to make them. It doesn't bother me.
The church is supposed to be our shepherd. When they act as our lords, it's hard to see how they're helping us.
Oh, Otto. Did you see the Bower's sheep escape into the grazing fields again?
We quickly changed the subject.
No, but I'm not surprised. Martin was supposed to fix the fence, and he probably did a bad job at it. He's always in a foul mood, and he could be the laziest soul in Tassing. He can't even hold a hammer properly. You should see him. He holds it by the head, tries to hammer them with the shaft. It's embarrassing. Married and a father. Married and a father at such a young age, and he barely lifts a finger for his wife or child. On top of that, he's a damn thief, and before you say it, Andreas, there's more than just gossip. Look at him over at the guest house. He's probably figuring out what he can steal with the least amount of effort.
I admit he did seem less than helpful when I talked to him this morning.
Oh, I doubt he'll ever amount to much of anything.
Speaking of the Bower's sheep, their ewes are short
The reels are shorn and the women will be spinning it soon. Otto. I got it, Andreas. No need to tease. What God wants to happen will happen. Looks like a storm's a-brewing. We should probably get back to it. All right. I'll catch up in a moment, Andreas. Oh, Andreas, say hello to Eva for me if you get a chance. Of course. I should return to work at the scriptorium. Until later. Work. Oh, tut-tut, it looks like rain. Time to get back to work. You still standing there, buddy? What? Nothing. Just asking questions. And we head on back to the scriptorium to continue our... this looks like an event. God bless you, Andreas. Hello, Brother Matthew. What are you doing out here? I thought you were aware that in addition to my role as Kyrsal's sacrist, I attend to the shrine of St. Moritz. He is the patron of Tassing and Kyrsal both, so it is my duty to ensure his reliquary is well cared for. The shrine is always beautifully kept whenever I visit. I always leave inspired, if you know what I mean. The martyrdom of St. Moritz provides inspiration to us all. You are familiar with the life of St. Moritz, are you not? No, but I'm sure you'll tell me at great length. Unfortunately, I did not learn about all the minor saints in university. Though he may not be well known in the church, St. Moritz is both Tassing and Kyrsal's patron saint. You ought to learn something about him while you're here. That's what I would do in real life. We'll be nice. By all means. St. Moritz is most widely known for his martyrdom at the hands of the Romans. He protected a town of Christians from slaughter, and in turn, he and his legion were decimated. Do you mean annihilated because technically decimation means 1 of every 10? Okay, sorry. From Decimus. Anyway, you said his legion. Wouldn't that mean he was a Roman soldier? Yes, he was a Roman citizen, and led a legion made up entirely of Christians into Bavaria. When he refused to kill the Christians, even though they were traitors to Rome, the emperor had his legion massacred. Most of the pilgrims who visit come knowing only this, if anything, about his life. However, Tassing venerates St. Moritz because he was the one to convert the town and save it from destruction. Tassing was pagan? I had no idea the town was that old. Actually, we do know that because we were told by Old Pete, I think. St. Moritz came here? Indeed, and his legion were snowed into the pass, and the townsfolk refused to aid them. The daughter of the town's leader, Seisha, was moved in spirit and snuck from the town to convert. She led Moritz to a spring, and as soon as she was baptized, the snow melted, revealing all manner of fruits. Moritz and his legion were saved by those miraculous gifts, the town was converted, and the rebels fled into the mountains. So, how did Moritz's hand end up in Tassing? That's the artifact they have on display in the little shrine. I don't remember if we went in there last week or not. The Roman soldiers dismembered St. Moritz for fear he would resurrect like Christ. The Christians of the town fled with his body so that it would not be further desecrated, and his hand was preserved here. What an astounding story. Thank you for the history lesson, Brother Matthew. You are welcome, Master Malar. God bless you. Oh, one more thing. I have a favor to ask you. Yes, Andreas? I was hoping you'd give me pay for the latest manuscript early. It isn't part of the agreement you made with Father Gurnot. You'll be paid on the completion of each additional manuscript you illuminate, not before. I only have a few manuscript pages left, Brother Matthew. I can finish them in the next few days anyway. Then I think you can wait a few days to collect your wages. This abbey runs through mutual agreements, not haphazard payments. Breaking such contracts would cause undue trouble not only for Kearsau, but for Tassing as well. So if you could kindly go and fuck yourself. Is that why Father Abbott has increased the taxes on the Gertners? Fuck it, let's do it. What is this about, Andreas? The Gertners asked me for their rent early so they can pay their taxes to the abbey. I see. Very well. Do not ask this of me again, Andreas Malar. Here you are. I shall note this with Father Gurnot and Prior Fenric. That's not how you pronounce his name, but I'm not going to change. Thank you, Brother Matthew. That's probably not how you pronounce that either, but if you've made it this far into the video, you've either jabbed your ears out or you've gotten used to it. Alright, now that I've got my payment, I can give Clara the rent early. We don't need to do that right now. I'll give it to her directly to make sure she receives it. We're not actually going to do that right now, though. We're going to go ahead and head on to the How nice of you. We're going to go ahead and head directly to the scriptorium. And by directly, I mean in my little weird-ass way that I get there. I really need to give the priests different voices. I don't know, have we heard Fenric talk yet? It's been a week since I played this last. Brother Adok, this work, I don't know where to start. Inconsistent spacing, rough strokes. Why did I go with that voice? You're working like you want this place closed. Brother Prior, I am working to the best of my abilities, and I dispute your criticism. I may not be fast, but I still have my talent, praise be to God. And Brother Guy, why are you still on this page? What's wrong with you? Normally you're so reliable. Many apologies, Brother Prior. I will work harder. Piero, I can't believe this. Baron Rothvogel has come to check on his progress, and this is all you have? You should have finished this months ago. Is your mind so corrupted by age that you do not notice the seasons have changed? Well, you're not the one who will have to answer for it, so why should you care? Typical. So the first time I played this, I did kind of try to go with the more diplomancer way of doing things, but let's just be a dick. God, shut up, Ferenc. I'm not even going to pronounce your name correctly because you're a dick. Stop taking out your frustrations on an old man. You imprudent knave! How dare you speak to me like that? I am the master of this scriptorium. It is my place to run the scriptorium as I see fit. I agree, Brother Prior. Brother Piero's work is unacceptably slow. You're insufferable, Brother Guy. Oh, God, give me the patience to endure this. Please, everyone, this is my work, and I accept responsibility for it. Prior Ferenc is right. Oh, I don't remember the voice I gave the Baron. As if I have consistency with the voices anyway.
Prior Fenric, is this mine? It must be, yes? Yes, my lord, I can No, I don't want excuses. I've come all this way, and I have to be honest, I expected more. It is nowhere near finished, and the style is... well, it's very old-fashioned. I thought I made my desires clear. I feel like my generosity towards Kirsau is being taken advantage of. Am I the fool in this sad story? No, of course not, my lord. Never. We can fix this, of course. Of course we only want to accommodate you. Ah, Andreas! It's good to see you again. Good to see you, Lawrence. He did not suckle my cock with his words. I don't know how to feel about this. My lord, if you please. Father Gano, why not have Andreas complete the rest of the illustrations? He's clearly capable. Well, my lord, why not have Brother Guy complete it if speed is your No, I'm not talking about the script. It's fine, but the art. The illustrations. I want Andreas to do the others. Of course. I mean, if Andreas is alright with it. Well, I'll do what I have to. There, we have it. I hope this allays your concerns, my lord. Excellent. By the way, Father Abbot, am I still welcome at your table for supper? Naturally, my lord. Wonderful. I'd like Andreas to join us. My lord, I've already made supper plans with my Drucker family in town. Or the Drucker family in town. Oh, nonsense. You can eat with him any day. I'm only here for the evening. Well, Father? Well, that would be quite unusual. Unusual or not, I doubt that my good friend, the Prince Bishop, would deny additional guests at his table. What do you think? I understand. Yes, you're right, of course. Andreas may join us for supper. I look forward to it. Well, we have new dinner plans now. You had this planned. I'm not capable of those kind of plans, sir. You must have put your hook in the Baron this morning when you ambushed him in town. Oh, go to hell, Ferenc. Brother Prior, Andreas is not to blame for any of this. I am. Yes, you are. And you've embarrassed me, the Abbot, and the Abbey. Prior Ferenc is right, of course. No wonder we don't get more commissions. Guy, can you stop flattering the Prior for 1 minute? Oh, I don't know. I'm not used to seeing combative Andreas. I played him so nice the first time around. We're just gonna keep being a dick. If anyone's the embarrassment here, it's you, Ferenc. Brothers. If you please, Sister Zigginia and I would prefer it if you kept the noise down. It sounds like Samson saying the Philistines in there. Of course. Get back to work, everyone. Looks so sad. Well, that was not wonderful, but nothing to be done about it now. I'll finish my work here and wash up in the lavatorium for supper at the Abbot's table. Eat. Supper at the Abbot's table. I don't think we actually have to go wash up. I think we can just go to dinner. Though this game does tend to be a little bit of a stickler for you doing what it wants you to do. So we will, I guess, go try to find the lavatorium. Who knows, I might get shoved in that direction anyway. See if I can remember where it's even at. Here we go. Lavatorium. Andreas! I'm so glad you'll be joining us for supper, although the circumstances are unusual to be sure. Oh, I won't be able to speak with you. None of the brothers will, but it will be good to have you with us. That's a shame. I always enjoy our talks. Now, the same doesn't apply to you at the abbot's table. You could talk all you like, though I wouldn't recommend it. Father Abbot does not look kindly upon idle chatter. I wish you could take my place, Brother Piero. You deserve the honor. Anyway, I'm sorry for how the prior treated you. It's not fair. It's humiliating, honestly. Oh, no, my son. There's no need to worry about me or my pride. And we all need a taste of humility from time to time to keep our feet on this earth. Oh, Andreas, you are my pride. I cannot claim to have taught you much, but I am proud to have known you and your work. And when you leave us all at Kirsten Abbey behind, you can call upon your friend Lorenz, the Baron Rothvogel, to help you out in your career. He's wrong, you know. Ferenc is wrong about you being slow. Oh, don't trouble yourself over it. Time passes for all of us. Things change. The future will write over the present. You need not fear it, any of it, so long as you remain true to yourself and God. Now, I must hurry to the refectory to join my brothers. I'll see you inside. And be sure to wash your hands. You don't want to spread any germs around. That's just gross. And now we go and we get to have dinner. I feel like I just had lunch, but we'll go have dinner now. Not at the chapter house, not the infirmary. I know where I'm going. There we go, refectory. Andreas, I'm glad you could join us. Thank you, my lord. Father Gano, Father Thomas, Friar Ferenc. Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Oh, the Gospel of Matthew. Wonderful. Jesus replied, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it." Have you read Matthew much, Andreas? Yes, I studied it extensively while I was at university, while I was pursuing my theology doctorate. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Then he ordered his disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. That reminds me, Father Gano, have you read anything by Martin Luther? I can't say that I... Oh, he has some incredible ideas about the church. Brilliant, I think. My lord, is this meal to your liking? I believe I remember you enjoying our quail the last time on your last visit. The quail? My God, Father Abbot, the quail's fine. But have you heard about Martin Luther's ideas? Do you think they're worth discussing? He's talking about the future of the church, shaking things up in a way I don't think we've ever seen before. Father Thomas, you see value in his ideas, do you not? My lord, I mean no offense, but I do not.
Brother Matthew, yes? How appropriate. What are your thoughts on Luther's attacks on the church's sale of indulgences? Matthew does not reply. Baron, please do not involve the other brothers in this conversation. Fine, fine. What about Andreas? Certainly a man who attended the same university as Martin Luther can spare some thoughts on his work. Yes, I have some thoughts. There's a great deal of theological merit to Luther's work. Aha! A debate! Excellent. Why not start with a 95 thesis? Enough! Andreas, you should know better. Brother Rothvogel, you are our guest and held in high esteem, but you have worn out my patience. You will not be discussing Luther's work with Andreas, Thomas, Matthew, or with any other brother. Is that clear? I suppose, Father. This is your abbey. You're taking too much offense at this, and you're far too afraid of change. Whether it's from Luther or someone else, reform is coming for the church. You had best accept it. What? Neither you nor Martin Luther dictate change to the Holy Church on their whim. This talk is beyond insulting. It's blasphemous. Outrageous. How dare you? I see. I have overstepped my bounds. I suppose I've ruined everyone's supper. My apologies. In spite of this unpleasantness, I will make good on my manuscript payments and the donation of my copy of Historia Tassing. If you cannot accept what the future will bring, perhaps it is time for you to come to terms with your past. Well, no need to overstay my welcome. Fathers, brothers, Andreas, a good night. Don't you love when you bring up religion at the dinner table? Speaking of which, it's almost Christmas time. It's the perfect opportunity to discuss Martin Luther at your family's dinner table. They probably won't have much to say about it, to be honest. Why, Andreas? Oh, sorry. Why, Andreas? Why did you engage him? I expect better of you. Really, that's on you. Now then, I must ask you to leave so I can speak to the brothers in the chapter privately. Brother Piero, please, accompany Andreas out. I think they want to see that I don't get lost. I will take my leave as well. Good night. Oh, don't worry about Father Gano and the Baron. I'm sure it'll all be fine by morning. I hope Father Abbot can see the Baron's heart is in the right place, even if he picked the wrong time to express himself. That seems unlikely. It may be so, but we must never lose hope. In any case, I do hope the Baron respects the Abbot's wishes for the rest of his stay, for everyone's sake. Brother Piero, what do you think of Martin Luther's ideas? That is for the younger and wiser men to decide. I'm just a monk, thank God. Good night, my son. Sleep. I should get some sleep. And fortunately, we know where we need to sleep. I won't be wandering around lost and have to cut out sections of the... There's a lamp still burning in the guest house. Lawrence must still be awake. I wonder what he's doing. And what was he thinking? He's a baron, but he couldn't have expected that to go well. Storm doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon. I should get back to the Gertners. So, what the fuck was I even saying? Hopefully I won't cut out chunks of the video and make things all awkward.
Okay, we can't go visit Lauren's at this point, so let's just get on back to the thing and go to sleep. Huh? Oh, it's a ghost. Oh, you alright, Master Malar? Did you see that in the aqueduct? Oh, the ghost. There must be a better explanation than that. Well, I'm not here to tell you what you saw. Wouldn't be the first time people have seen ghosts around these parts. Have you ever seen one? Mm-hmm. Usually around the ruins. Who knows how many restless Romans lie beneath those stones? I see. Well, I think I found Johann's long-lost sheep. I should be going home. Take care, Master Malar. Good night, Till. Well, that was an interesting thing. I'm not going to investigate it. You can if you would like to, when you hopefully play the game. Ah, no! Pale horse, still on the floor. Hello? Are you alright in there? Matins. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. The monastic hour corresponding to 2 a.m. and just right. Matins, the pale horse, death. Sister, listen to my voice. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Yes. Yes, Father, I hear you. Am I here? Is this now? Yes. Yes, you are with us, and this is now. I apologize, Andreas. I imagine that must have been quite alarming. It sounded like she was having an ecstatic vision. Your knowledge surprises me, Andreas. Though the Baron did say you were an educated man. Well, yes, Sister Amelie is a mystic, gifted with visions when God sees fit to give her one. Some are more frightening than others. And what's she doing there? Does she live in the church? She lives there, yes. I'm a little surprised you haven't noticed her before. If you come to Mass very often, or come to Mass more often, you would see that I give her communion through a window in her cell. Oh, is she an anchoress? She is, yes. Devoted to God, enclosed in the cells next to the church. She is dead to the world, but continues a life of prayer and religious contemplation. And sometimes, even so rarely, she receives great and terrible visions. Is she local to Tassing, or was she a nun at Curacao? Neither. She came from a Benedictine abbey in Lower Bavaria after it burned down. I am her confessor and caretaker. Many anchoresses are not literate. I write down her visions to help interpret them. I thought all the monks and nuns at Curacao could read. Even poor Brother Volkbert, who I do not remember. Thank you, Father. Thomas, I must rest now. And his opinion of her has changed, as he knows she's not literate, so her text changed, as I mentioned before. Of course, sister. She seems unhappy. She is not unhappy, but she is in pain, both physical and spiritual. Her spiritual pain comes from her revelations. They come and go. I try to address them best as I can. The physical pain comes from a deformity in her spine and aching in her joints. I know of no cure for that save prayer to the Almighty. Sister Amelie could say she was having... Sister Amelie was saying she had a vision of death. Could someone be in danger? Oh, no, don't rush to judgment. Her visions are divine and powerful, but they could have many meanings.
Some of her revelations take years to comprehend. Some may never be understood at all, as God wills it. Still, the argument at dinner was quite troubling. Perhaps it has cast a shadow on her thoughts. Now then, the good sister appears to have fallen back to sleep. I must prepare for bed myself. Good night, Andreas.
Good night, Father. But this is a video game, so all prophecies are true. And all rumors are true. You ever heard a rumor in an RPG that wasn't true? And we just keep going this way, and eventually we'll get back to the Gertner farm. Walking through the rain. And if I recall correctly, they're all asleep by now, so you can't give them their money yet. Yep, everybody's asleep. And we will soon join them. It's getting late. I should get some rest. Go to sleep. He's got his little Santa hat. Speaking of which, it finally did start getting cold here. It's been pretty toasty most of the fall so far, but we finally had a cold front blow through. It's supposed to last until Christmas is over at least, which is what I hope for. Work. Oh, it's still raining. Time to get back to work. Why? Shh. It's all right, Ursula. What happened?
A storm rolled in during the night. It hasn't let up all morning. Clara and I have been doing what we can to keep us all from washing away. Peter and Jorg are outside, trying to deal with the flooding as best they can.
Oh my. Is the farm in danger?
There's always a danger with this much rain, but we've lived through worse. Whatever happens, it will be as the Lord wills. We must have faith in Providence and endure what is to come. Oh, and I have some food for you. Here, I'm sorry I couldn't prepare anything more.
Thank you, I appreciate everything you do. It's sweet.
Oh, well said. It's nothing really.
No, I mean it. You make a good wife someday. I appreciate it all the same.
Have a good day at the Abbey, Andreas, and try to stay dry.
Thanks. You too. Good luck. And the game... Okay, we're not done here yet. Andreas. Are you doing alright, Peter?
No, I'm not. Some of our sheep escaped, and I'd rather not spend the morning fixing this damned wall for the third time this year. Ah, this is the way it is. Rain falls on the Abbey and rolls downhill to us little people. It's hard to blame the Abbey for that. It's just how rain works. There's a reason we're down here and they're up there, Andreas. Anyway, I have to get back to this. See you later.
Alright, so we were kicked out of the Gertner house immediately, but we can go back in, and I think we can toss her money that we got.
Hello, Andreas.
Hello, Clara. I have something for you.
Oh?
This should be enough to pay my rent, and the tax you owe the Abbey.
Andreas! This is far more than your rent payment. We can't accept this.
He who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully.
Oh, Andreas, thank you, but how did you even get so much coin? Are you sure you'll have enough to spare?
Don't worry about me, Clara. I'll be fine.
Oh, well, if you're sure. Thank you, Andreas. You don't know what this means to us.
I'm happy to help, Clara. It's a Christian thing to do.
I'll let you move on with your day. God bless you.
Until later. Alright, let's head on back to yonder church and get back to work. We have more writing to do. They thought of that. You can't just run through the mud puddle. Very sad. Take the long way around. Do-do-do-do-do. It's just like real life. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you wake up, you go to work, come home, and the next thing you know, you're dead. I do recommend if you play this yourself, and that's why I made this video, to hopefully encourage at least one person to give the game a try, that you spend the time talking to these people and, like, you know, seeing all the dialogue there is. I find it pretty interesting myself, but I'll spare you. Martin? Hey, Martin! Eat shit, Andreas! Achoo! Well, he just gave me COVID, and now I have to move on with my day. I should get to the scriptorium. Gurno will give me an earful if I'm late again. Looks like he's trying to get the Baron's horse wrangled. I probably picked like a long roundabout way through the church. I always kind of... you know, it's funny, I said you get used to it, but there's still a little bit of weirdness just navigating in a 2D space like this. But we got there. We got where we was supposed to go. Oh, this is wonderful. The rest of the abbey is soaked and there's not a drop of rain in here. Good thing the abbot had Otto replace the roof of the scriptorium and library last month. With the calfactory next door, we can stay warm while everyone else is cold and wet. Instead of bragging about your good fortune, you should think upon your brothers and sisters and pray for their health and safety. The abbot's foresight saved a lot of our work. The abbot's foresight saved a lot of our work and protected what's in the library. The town hasn't fared as well. I'm sure they'll be fine. More importantly, if they're not, I don't care. Brother Guy, your heart is harder than the stone of this floor. We have the grumpy old monk, but where's the nice one? Brother Piero? Haven't you seen him yet today? I did. Before Brother Guy arrived, Brother Piero left to speak to the abbot some time ago. What? Why is Matthew ringing the bell? It can't be Tess already. I pray it stops soon. Such a cacophony is an assault on my frail ears. It's not stopping. I suppose this means we're being summoned to the chapter house. Oh God, give me the strength to endure the rain. It's 50 feet, old man. You'll be fine. God, give me the strength to endure this man. Don't make me come with you. I'm in my zone, alright? Oh, damn it. Well, it's not stopping. What's going on? This can't all be because of the storm. I should see what's the matter. Alright, and they said they were heading to the chapter house, so let's chapter house away, shall we? I think... Oh, fuck me. That sounded like a scream coming from the cloister. I was not expecting that. You get to the cloister somehow. Okay, I think we go through the cemetery. Andreas is not very interested and is just slowly walking his way along. It's coming from just down the hall. Maybe the chapter house. Okay. Oh. Alright, I think we get the point. Oh no. What's happened? I think it's the Baron. He's been hurt. Please, Father, where's Brother Florian? Have him come quickly. Be silent, brother. Brother Florian, if you please.
I'm sorry, Father. There's nothing to be done. He's dead.
Arg! Sister Margaret, calm yourself. Sister Gertrude, please take Sister Margaret back to the garden. Yes, Mother Cecilia.
I'm sorry, I have like one female voice. That's it.
Oh God, protect us. The Baron was a friend of Prince Bishop of Freising.
So he's worried about the Prince Bishop.
This abbey is odd in more than one way. Its existence offends some in the church. We are far enough from Rome and Mainz that everyone forgets about us, but this could bring unwanted attention. Florian, how easily do you think you could dispose of this body?
Father Abbot, what are you saying?
Why are you questioning me? Why are you wasting precious time? Do you want to see the soldiers of the Prince Bishop march upon our steps and fling your brothers and sisters out of our home? God protect us. God is some silence, quiet. Calm yourselves, all of you. Father Abbot, Baron Rothvogel's manservant is already preparing to leave. The Baron's wife should be here in a matter of hours. This is not the time for rash decisions. Yes, you're right, forgive me. But then, what will we do? We must send the Baron's men to the court of the Prince Bishop of Freising at once.
Mother Cecilia, the Baron said the Prince Bishop's Archdeacon was in Innsbruck for an imperial diet.
Even better, swift action will silence any whispers of impropriety on our part. Given the Baron's stature, the Archdeacon will undoubtedly come to investigate immediately. We must cooperate with him fully and pray for a speedy resolution. Yes, good. Thank you, Mother Cecilia. Brother Woljeff, please detain Brother Piero in the cellar until the Prince Bishop's men arrives.
What? Brother Piero? Why?
That's absurd. He was caught red-handed, covered in blood with a knife in his hand.
Father, do you really believe Brother Piero is capable of such a foul deed?
Yes, capable enough when motivated by anger.
I had no anger against the Baron, Father Abbot. I simply came across him like this.
No anger? Not even for insulting your work and forcing us to give it to Andreas? It's not a subject for debate. When the Prince Bishop's men arrive, we must not be empty-handed. Even if Piero wanted to kill the Baron, he is not physically capable of the act. He can barely hold a brush, much less plunge a knife into a man's body. Be quiet. This is not your affair. It's my affair if you're going to make me part of Brother Piero's supposed motive. I am through debating this with you. My decision stands. Brother Woljeff will detain Brother Piero in the cell until I say otherwise. Brother Florian, please escort Andreas out of the abbey. Andreas, do not show your face here again until tomorrow. Do you understand me? This is ridiculous, but yes.
Andreas, listen to me.
I sympathize with you. I don't think Piero did this either, but this isn't the time to push the abbot. I'm sure the other brothers and sisters believe Piero is innocent as well, but the abbot is worried about the Prince Bishop's attention. I have to do something. I can't let Piero die for something he didn't do.
I appreciate your passion,
but if you pursue this indelicately, you could make matters worse. Take a few hours to calm your nerves and your mind, and we need to think clearly. Go to the Druckers, eat a good meal, and come back at noon. We won't have much time, but tap on my window with a small stone and I'll let you in. Let me in for what? To examine the body. And now we have a timer. Eat! And this is, we finally, after like probably 2 hours of gameplay, we've finally actually gotten to the game part of the game. I guess it's all the game, as it's a very narratively driven game. But we finally actually got into the meat and potatoes of the game, where we will be investigating a murder of our friend, the bear. Well, I don't know if I want to call him a friend. Our good acquaintance that spoke very highly of me, and thus I'm slightly flattered by him. The Baron. And we have exactly, I think, 2 days or so to investigate the town, piece together clues, and yeah, hopefully find out who was responsible for the Baron's untimely demise. I think I'm going to go ahead and we'll go through this little conversation right quick. And I think, actually, you know what, we'll go a little bit further. Good day, Andreas. Back from the Abbey already. It's only noon. Andreas, are you alright? No, something terrible has happened. Oh God, what No, forgive me. Come inside and sit down for a minute. If it's not an imposition, I'd appreciate a moment to rest. Not an imposition at all. My friends are always welcome in my home. Besides, I could use your opinion on something. See, they're printers, so they talk upside down. Good day, Andreas. Should I fix you a plate? If it's not too much trouble, I'd appreciate it. To be my pleasure. This rain has got everyone's spirits down. Hopefully a good meal can cheer you up. Hello. Hello, Berthold. How are you? Sleepy. Come back to my workshop. I'm going to do a new run of Till Springers. There was a printing a few years ago in Strasbourg, but it was awful, almost bereft of illustrations. What do you think of these new ones? Oh, yes, looks quite nice, They look wonderful. Excellent work. Thank you. I'll be sure to let Marie know. Are those her woodcuts? Oh, aye, they are. The drawings were mine, but she did the block cuts. I've got enough talent to draw the designs, but only she can do the woodcuts and then the type. Bless us, O Lord, and these, your gifts which we are about to receive from your bounty. Through Christ, our Lord. Amen. 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 I'm hungry. Amen. Andreas, what were the bells for at the Abbey? They were sounding for a long time. The visiting nobleman, Lawrence Rathvogel, was found murdered in the chapter house. God in heaven! He just rode in by here yesterday. Yes, and it gets worse. One of the elderly brothers I work with in the scriptorium, Piero, was accused of the crime. That's awful. A murder in Curacao. How could a monk do such a thing? I'm sorry, Andreas. The Baron seemed like an interesting man, and I know he's been a patron of the Abbey for many years. How did he die? Could it have been an accident? And does the abbot really believe that Brother Piero killed him? You've always spoken of him in the kindest terms. It seemed like Lorenzo had been stabbed, but I don't know. There was a lot of blood around him. Let's see. We'll go with that. Oh no, but I can't believe Piero did it. I can't imagine him harming anyone. Stabbed? It's hard for me to imagine a monk doing that as well, but who knows? Oh, but could it have been one of the sisters? But if it wasn't Brother Piero, who do you think could have done it? I did see Lucky Steiner get into a shouting argument with Lawrence yesterday, just before I walked by your place.
Lucky! Why would he have cause to shout at a nobleman? I want my sausage. There's probably something else going on that you don't know about, dear.
What do you mean by that?
I'm not one to trade gossip, but if you really want to know, talk to some of the other women in town.
Or Mother Cecilia up at the Abbey. Could it have something to do with the nuns? Would Lucky argue with the Wrens about nuns?
Oh, there's no need for that. Lucky is a forthright man. I'm sure if you ask him, he'll tell you what the argument was about.
Thank you both. That's good advice. There's something else, though. When Lawrence and I were walking through the meadows, the widow Kimperin came out of the woods and...
Yes?
Well, she cursed him.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Ottilia's late husband ran afoul of Lawrence on his last visit to Tassing. I don't remember the details, but Ranning died just last year, and Ottilia hasn't been the same since. Eat our bread. It's made of farmers, don't you know? She always was an old bitch, even before she was old. Klaus! That's enough! She had to deal with Job's... She had to deal with... Oh, what was his... How do you pronounce his name? She had to deal with Job's lot in life. Job, I have one of those. And now she lives all alone on the edge of the woods. There are rumors she's going to lose her property soon. I do pity her, even if she is a bitter woman. There should be some exception in the law for her to inherit.
Seems like it would be more just, yes.
It wasn't always this way. I think my great-grandma inherited this land way back when. Well, if men changed it, they can change it back.
You're right, as always, my dear.
Enough about Ottilia. Is there anyone else you think could have done it?
I don't know if he has any ill intent, but Prior Ferric has been acting strangely since the day Lawrence arrived.
Perhaps an academic disagreement. I know they're both avid readers, both of the classics and new works. On his last visit, the Baron brought a book on astronomy from me. Or bought a book on astronomy from me. I know the Prior has some similar interests. Would the Prior kill someone over a simple disagreement? It depends on the nature of the disagreement. Many have been killed or killed for their beliefs. What is an opinion for some is a testament of faith for others and worth killing for. That may be so, but I've never seen that sort of anger in Prior Ferric. Not even when Gernot made an abbot instead of him. Was made abbot instead of him. I've been doing this too long. I'm losing my shit. Afterward, he seemed bitter, but never violent. That just doesn't seem to be a part of his character. So, Lucky, the widow, and the Abbey Prior. Anyone else? There was something strange when we approached the Abbey together. Mother Cecilia was outside with the sisters. Mother Cecilia scowled and took the nuns inside without saying a word. Sounds like they have a history, at least. I do not know Mother Cecilia personally, but I've never heard anyone speak badly of her. If she had cause to dislike the Baron, I must believe she had a good reason. Well, Andreas, it sounds like there's a lot to look into. Well, thank you for talking to me. I was feeling overwhelmed. You're always welcome here, Andreas. Anytime. Yeah. You are especially welcome with this one. God be with you, Andreas. Thank you. God be with you. And now we officially are being kind of let go to do what we want to do. We have 4 different leads, and we should follow up on them. Or rather, we would if I was doing a full playthrough of this game. Right now, he's just giving us the rundown on who we can talk to. Game's trying to help you out here a little bit. Tell you where all the principal suspects are. Anyway, I thought this game was pretty interesting. I really enjoyed my time with it. Admittedly, I'm perfectly fine with more narratively driven games myself. I hope some of you will give this game a try. It was a pretty nice little experience. Good game to play
on these cooler winter days. Good game to play before bed too, I think. That's just me. I like a nice relaxing experience in the later hours of the night. Anywho's, thank you guys for sticking with me this long. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the voices were entertaining at the very least. And I hope to see you again whenever I make something else. Who knows when that will be? I certainly do not. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later. Take care, guys.